Wait, one moment. Go. We are ready.
We'll call this meeting of the city council, August 27th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Josh Earl,
Present.
Gwen Hoffman, Mitch Magnus,
Present.
Larry Phillips,
Present.
Charlie Pierce,
Present.
Reed Petty,
Present.
Joel Williams,
Present.
Wayne Cohn.
Present and Mayor Pro Tem.
You do have a quorum minus the mayor.
Okay, at this time, will please stand for one invitation. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come this evening, thank you for this day that you've given us. Lord, we go forth the business of the city tonight. We just ask you to give us wisdom in the decisions that we make. Lord, as the mayor, as he's out of town, give him a safe trip back home when he comes. Guide and direct us in what we do here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Please stand, pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. At this time, I would ask for a motion for approval of the minutes for August 13th, 2026. I'll make that motion. Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
And who seconded that motion?
Larry.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we would like to go into the department head reports. Chief Grady.
Thank you very much. Got our monthly report there in front of you. No, big night tonight, I won't get into detail, but there's all the information as far as where we are year to date in 2026 compared to last year, what we've done this month. What I would like, well, first of all, do y'all have any questions?
I noticed that in the stats were up significantly from last year, and citation was down significantly. You addressed the citation recently as the low number of officers in control at the time. Any particular reason to the increase of that?
What do you think? Okay, citations are up.
No, they're down.
Fixed assets.
They're not even last year. It's not
Next to that.
and that would be better than,
Yeah,
no question there.
okay, all right. What I would like to do tonight. Like to bring Officer CJ Hill and his K9 partners over here. Zolan's been with us for a little over 4 years, and he's gonna have to retire. So this is a little bit of, gonna be hard on him, because this is the only life that he really knows. But, he's developed a health problem, and, we've already made arrangements for, Officer Hill with another K9. But, wanted to go over a couple of things he's done in this 4 years, been on 25 plus tracks. Two apprehensions that he made. Now, you don't want to be apprehended by him because there's only one way to be caught by him, and that's with what's in his mouth. And, so there was 2 of those, numerous narcotics arrests, seizures made. He served us well, and, I'd just like to read this letter. It says, City of Harrison on August 24, 2022, K-9 Zolan was employed with the Harrison Police Department with handler C.J. Hill. After 4 years of service, K-9 Zolan will retire August 27th, 2026. K-9 Zolan will be given to his handler. On the date of retirement, Corporal C.J. Hill will take over all responsibilities for the care of K-9 Zolan, and that's respectfully come to the request of y'all. So, and with that, I want to mention his family. Because not only is this a family member to them, it's a family member to them, and Officer Hill's wife and their two daughters are with us tonight, so we appreciate them. Everybody don't realize what it takes, but long nights away, phone calls in the middle of the night, they need the dog to go track somebody. He was just called out, was it this week? Last week? Tuesday, yeah, just called out Tuesday, so he's made a lot of sacrifices with family, and they special families to put up with officers, and especially officers that have this type of officer at home with them 24/7. So thank you all very much. Appreciate it. With that comes his passport, because he is not from here. And I'll hate to have to call immigration. That's his passport, all his medical records, and thank you and appreciate all the work and effort that you've done, and obviously Zone too, so. That's all I have.
Chief, I have a question for you
Yeah.
when you get through.
Yeah.
I've noticed on the news last few days, the Janet Fox case.
Uh-huh,
A lot of them may not know what that is, but can you update us on that?
yeah, I will. You will take you on that, Dave. All right, thank you very much. And then how many? They're gonna take his picture, if y'all want about there, Don will take y'all's picture. As you know, the cold case has become a priority with a lot of agencies, I know the Arkansas State Police. We've had what we consider maybe some new information from some of the family members. And we're actually looking at the location. We don't know what we're gonna find. Obviously, we have a little bit of encouragement that there might be something to it. And we're waiting on some specialized units to come in and help us with sonar and documents and such. And it's in it's not in the county. But it is involved under her. And for those that don't know, I know Wayne remembers I was a kid, but I remember because it's across the road where I live. Or her children and I were the same age. She disappeared from the what was the mall parking lot, the Magic Mark there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty much without a trace. Never was heard or seen from again, so. Yes, we're doing a few things on that right now.
It just makes me happy that was the case we were involved with for a long time. And
He wanted to speak.
makes me happy personally to see that something may be fixed to happen.
Yeah. Sorry. Since.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
I did not see this. Kurt Grisham wanted to speak on the department head reports.
Well, there are a few more reports. Thank you very much.
Well, it's supposed to be done before they make their reports.
I'm just trying to, not.
Go ahead with that.
I just signed in case I wouldn't want to talk, and last week, 2 weeks ago, I made a mistake in my sign in for that, so I'm not gonna. That before. There's probably not any of that one to reserve the right.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, public works. Please.
I'll try to get through a few things relatively quick. So John Grice opened up, things looking pretty good out there. The contractor, it is moving forward. I can't remember if I told you the last meeting about, Cross Construction, we just terminated with both contract with the one contractor out there. The new one got in this week. so far this week, they've done more work than the previous did. So glad to see that. Retaining wall construction, cleanup, and lights were kind of the major items that are left out there. The final completion date on the contract is October 9th. Substantial completion is basically by the time school starts. And so since they had that, we set substantial at August 10th, and then they got 60 days after that to get the job to final completion. I am going to be watching that to see if we need to adjust that simply because they did accept the terminate that one subcontractor. I don't know. I did want to let everybody know, in case you have not seen that we will have a closure on Rock Springs Road from forward in Steer on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's to allow people, you got to, we're not, the contractor is doing anything crossing for sewer line. One of those situations where normally we require them to keep the road open, but the existing sewer line is too close to make that cut into the new places. So they agreed to do it on Saturday, and so we'll keep an eye on that. Historic District Commission this month got to review and approve their first 2 certificates of appropriateness for exterior modifications downtown. Just to kind of let you know what that is up and running. We are still looking for 2 commissioners. I've received a couple of applications in, but we are looking for to fill those 2 seats hopefully sometime next month. So everybody can vote once we get to October for the meeting. The main thing that we need is you need to live inside the city and be registered to vote. As a city, as a Harrison citizen. Yeah. Beyond that, we'd like to get somebody with history background, architecture, things of that nature. The main thing is you have to have city work. We are starting the process with Corps of Engineers to do a risk assessment review on the levees for downtown. They reached out to me, free service for us, but it runs their levy specialists in them. We'll do a review of it, see if there's any deficiencies, things that we need to work on, improve on. It'll be a while before I go ahead and information to give you right now. We're tentatively scheduling their site visit for mid-November, early December, and then usually it's another 3 to 4 months after that before we start going over the results. But I did want to let you know that's something we're taking a look at doing. RDOT has signed off on our water and sewer relocation plans around the Highway 65 corridor, which includes relocations and some upgrades that we need to do as part of our sewer master plan. So we have started the easement acquisition process on that since we know everything's good to go. I'll keep you posted. I'd love to get this job bid out towards the end of this year so that we definitely feel it going. Again, the main highway project right now, the draft statewide transportation improvement plan, they pushed it to 2029 to get out there. So we got time, but I want to try and deal with guys up front. So there's no chance of us being a reason for it to be delayed again. Meeting next month with RDOT to talk about paving Main Street. I had submitted a request for some funding through what they call City Aid program a while back. I think I informed you that we were doing that. It's up to $400,000 of state funding that we can use to pave the streets. They're coming up next month. We've got a meeting scheduled next month, and then we come up and look at the job. So that was just good news that it's starting to move through the process, and we can see that going. And then I do want council to be thinking a little bit, and you're welcome to reach out and have discussions. It's time that we need to start updating some of our long range planning for stuff that I have to deal with. Our street and transportation the master street plan was adopted in 2018. And it's a good plan. It was what we could afford to develop at the time, because we did most of it in house. As we see traffic increase, we are seeing more people moving to town. We probably need to take a deeper dive into that. So I'll put together our RFQ to bring on a team to do master transportation for the city, which we basically it's 20-year planning horizon that you look at, lay out your projects. It's also useful for getting state and federal funding to have that, which we have a plan, but it's time to go and get a federal and include more more types of transportation as far as pedestrian movement, to take a look at that and incorporate that into our transportation plan as well. And then our existing water system master plan was developed in 2010, so we long overdue to update it, but our increase in demand of the water did not keep up with what was projected, so it's just, you know, it projected a much faster increase in what we were looking at for water demand. And so we've been able to sort of fall off on that, but it's time to go ahead and do that. And it's also now a requirement. There's new state laws that we're actually supposed to start updating those every 5 to 10 years. So just kind of wanted to throw those out to you. We do have a current sewer plan that, you know, it was done a couple of years ago. We're working on that. And beyond that, you have to answer the questions.
And the original plan that they're talking about had a provision in it for the north south freeway, based on the traffic for town. I had 19 7 south to the north side.
Yes.
And I assume we'll be looking at something like that again.
We will be looking at pretty much everything. I want to kind of go with a little more in-depth process that will include actually a lot more public involvement. And actually bring in,
East west corridor as well, the north side of town.
and bring in, a little more coordination with major stakeholders, thinking FedEx, DSI, some of that other industry, school system, major users of transportation effort beyond just us driving every day.
The other question will be on, I know, usually a little bit from days that everyone's got, up and driving around without their families or a lot of accidents or.
I'm not aware of any, at the around. Hopefully, it's still. Yeah.
I know the first day there were some people that got confused when they came up on.
They were, I mean, I was out there the first 3 days when we had to, when they were in the afternoon watching it, you saw something. Really, the biggest issue that we had out there that first week was with the roundabouts. It was our traffic signal, caps and Goblin was not letting traffic out. There's causing backup, so we made adjustments, a few different adjustments to it, we kind of watching it. And get back to where, because it was backing up Goblin my ways, and that one was causing the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Fire Chief Mark Lowry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you get my report, keep it pretty short. The busy month with us, we're going to print calls, but pretty busy month for us. We did do several responses to the county. Actually, I'm gonna help Chris is a bunch on a search warrant once, and we take our ambulance to weather a couple, in case something it happens, we're able to take care of it a lot quicker that way. So we try to do that when we can. One of the things I did want to bring up as far as permitting, we did have 4 new constructions for residents in the city last month. So that was a good sign for seeing construction happening in the city. So really, that's all I've got. If you all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mayor.
Mayor.
Finance, Luke.
Sorry for the delay. It's coming back from Rogers on tennis match. So I don't have a whole lot on this particular one. Yeah, good news today. We won 8-1, so and so the other double C was just one thing for my department report, sales tax, we got those numbers in. It was above budget and above last year. So good news. That was for June. I know we had several tournaments in town. So it's really good news considering what we were dealing with as far as gasoline prices. So we'll continue to monitor going forward, but it wasn't much over what we had budgeted last year, but it was over. So we'll take it. All I got for fun.
Thank you, sir. David knows we didn't want to talk to this. Harms.
All right, good news at Creekside, our memberships are at 5535. So we're climbing towards our goal, 6,000 by the end of the year. I will make the announcement now, reminding everyone that the pool closes on September 6th, and our last day, we're closing on Labor Day, so. We'll have that weekend, the 5th and 6th, and then we'll be closing the outdoor pool down. That's not the Creekside pool, it's just the outdoor. This Saturday, we have a volleyball tournament at Creekside, which is high school and junior high girls teams coming in, and we have 21 teams participating in that. That's a tournament we kind of lost 5 years ago. We're bringing it back, and that's more than we had in our last tournament. So we're pretty excited about those numbers and getting that tournament established again this time of year. Went out 2 or 3 times a day and looked at the playground and the splash pad at the complex, the baseball softball complex. They should be done with the pour and play in the morning for sure, pulling out. We're doing sidewalks and doing some dirt work, and we're gonna resod some places, and we should be opening that pretty soon, hopefully. I'm not gonna give you a date yet, cause I don't know a date, but I'm excited about that, cause that's gonna be another big major project.
Or you're closing the pool, the outdoor pool after Labor Day, how long is the like that?
Yes.
Say,
We don't close the splash pad till we get a forecast of freezing weather 3 days in a row, or a whole week of colder weather. That's kind of how we do it, so we don't freeze and bust our pipes. As long as it's warm outside, we leave the splash pad open. So if this one opens, we'll probably close them at the same time. Whatever date, whatever time that is, when we finally get some cold weather. I got a wrestling tournament again this year, confirmed on November 7th, so that's another big deal. Last year we had 400 participants, so I'm hoping we have that or a little bit more this year. And that gets a little bigger, but that was something new from last year that we're continuing to get. We have the next concert at the Creekside Amp on September 20th. That's a Christian artist, Ben Fuller and Megan Woods. We're school starting, of course, we're starting our fall league. We got our K-4 flag football starting on September 8th. We have over 100 kids participating in that. And then we have our basketball fall school league starting on September 12th, where we have 42 teams participating in that. So, lots of things starting and picking back up the park. I don't think we ever slowed down, but we're getting more and more activities. So, other than that, unless you have any questions, that's my report for the month.
you said the wrestling was a big deal, it was actually a little deal.
No, that was micro wrestling. I'm talking about
Oh,
kid.
okay,
I'm talking about high school wrestling.
okay.
Or wrestling, whatever, wrestling. That's micro. You wanna bring that back? I'd love to. I'm sure we will.
Next on the agenda is new business, and I want to turn this over to Councilman Magnus at this time.
Mr. Mayor, tonight we have Mr. Troy Massey, who's going to give us an update on the Boone County Heritage Museum required for the funding that we have, and going to give us some information.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Magnus. Good to be here tonight. I'm not here to ask you for money. I'm here to give you some information on the Boone County Heritage Museum.
For this video.
We're down to 2 volunteers now.
Hey, David.
There's been an illness in their family, so they're not able to be over there with us, but anyways, we're down to 2, so. Looking out,
Speakers are not working. Please get ready to play video. The speakers are open.
Tell about the museum, but also.
Out here. It's coming through right here. That's it.
Basically, if you went to school down in that building. We've got 3 events coming up for fundraisers. On October 29th, we're gonna have a night at the museum. It's a fundraiser, but there'll be no admission, but it's donation only. We've got one local banks who will help with the food there, probably hot dogs, and we'll have some drinks and some sweets, cookies, whatever. And just don't want the food to go in the museum, so we'll have to eat it outside.
Yes.
We go in, but anyway, we'll have our volunteers
The speaker.
on all 3 floors. We'll be dressed in costumes, and we'll probably have a costume competition at 7 o'clock for male, female, and then the children. And so come out and get to see our museum, and like I said, it won't cost you nothing, but we would request you make a donation. December 5th, we're looking at pictures with Santa over at the Forest Building, which is houses our Mountain Meadows room, and that's the big, Conestoga wagon there, of that era 1857 that went out to, Mountain Meadows. So Santa's gonna be there, again, donations only, no cost, so bring your kids out, we want a picture with Santa. Where he talked with him, he said he'd be available that day, so around noon, and, we'll be in front of the wagon, take more pictures, we won't have a photographer there or anything like that, so just, bring your own phones, snap them, and again, donations only. And then on December 19th, we're going to have luminaries at the Maplewood Cemetery and Rose Hill Cemetery, so $20 per headstone. You can honor your family up there at those cemeteries, this is helping out. To do that for us with luminaries.
Everything else is.
Um,
It shows
So,
standings.
one last thing is, of course, the AARP, I talked to their district director, and there's a possibility we're gonna be able to get some folks involved in that. Boone County, my understanding, they said, really has nobody, so if you're 55 and older, and you could qualify for that, to get you back in the workforce, I've got some information I can give you, but, he said we could get up to 5 volunteers in that museum, and it's minimum wage, and it's no more than 20 hours a week. But hey, it's not bad. I mean, we could be open another 2 days if we get, 5 volunteers like that. So this time I'd ask James to show a video on Boone County Heritage Museum. Mark Farmer, brother of Jerry Farmer, we're down here in the park system. He wrote this song and is him and Don White singing it. Don put the video together. So this is a Boone County Heritage Museum, and I'm going to end in that. And good luck the rest of the meeting.
Hear the square and old Harris, where the memories softly stay. Stands a keeper of the stories that time can't wash away. Doors swing wide to welcome all the young hearts to the grave. At the Boone County Heritage Museum, where yesterday stared as it says.
Well, we'll do it tomorrow.
Dusty roads and wagons rolling by. Farmers working in fields beneath an Ozark sky. School bells ring in little towns, their echoes never die. Every picture tells a story, every name a lullaby. The museum keeps the lantern lit for those who came before. Through faded maps and family names, it opens history's door. From the hills of Boone County to the valleys far below, the museum tells the story of the people we all know. Their uniforms of soldiers who answered freedom's call. Letters sent from distant lands, preserved behind the wall. Tools that build a growing town, strong hands that gave their all. Voices live within these halls, though years have come and gone. Children wander through the rooms and wonder what they see. Discovering roots that shape their family's history. Each display becomes across the years and seas, binding generations with a timeless memory. The beauty keeps the lantern lit for those who came before. Through faded maps and family names, it opens history's door. From the hills of Boone County to the valleys far below, the museum tells the story
of the people we all know. The railroad track, courthouse square, the farms and country roads, the dreams that build a county strong, the burdens people born. Seasons change and years move on, their legacy remains written in the hearts of those who call these hills their home. Museum keeps the lantern lit for every child to see. The courage, faith, and sacrifice that shaped our history. And as the years keep rolling by, its treasure still will show the living story of Boone County. And the seeds our fathers sowed. So if you pass through Harrison, take a little time of your own. For inside those cherished walls, you'll find a piece of home.
All right, thank you very much. And I just want to say, one of those titles with Coach Woolsey, and I don't remember signing it. I didn't see it from that angle back then, but, I don't remember signing it. It's got the special name. So, thank you, Troy. Troy is a member of the Harrison 150 Celebration Committee as well. And the committee has been trying to help, Troy find volunteers and raise money. We really urge you to come out on the 29th. It's free to the public. We ask you to make a donation. And if you end up going into the museum, you're gonna find something that brings back a memory, or one of your family members will, that will just knock your socks off. It's incredible to go down there. And if you don't see something that's familiar, you're gonna learn something that'll make you understand why you live here and what we're made of. So, thank you, Troy. Yes, sir. Wade Phillips is going to talk to us about the lead service line inventory agreement. We discussed it before council, but he's going to have much more.
And before you go any further, Kurt Grisham has signed up to speak on this agenda item.
Mr. Grisham, you good? You just going on?
Well, I don't know anything about it until I hear it talk.
Okay. Well, if you're going to speak on an agenda item, unfortunately, you have to speak before. You can't add comment after the they speak. Comment is cut off and it's only council members.
Great, thank you. I'll pass.
You want to play the video again?
Oh, one minute, I forgot.
Yeah, I put a few slides together just to give some background on what it is I'm asking for, why and why. I'm basically asking for y'all to approve an agreement for us to work with the company to finalize our lead service line inventory, while also going to tell you that we don't have lead service lines. So it's kind of sounds like a polite request, but I need to explain why. So water systems, we operate under, one of the lead copper rule. So the first legislation really started hitting water systems and focusing on safe drinking water. The Safe Drinking Water Act 1974, amendments to 86. 1991 was the first time when they released what's called a lead and copper rule. And that's where, we started realizing that, well, in the 80s, they realized that lead is an issue in drinking water. And then so they finally, early 90s, got regulations out. There's been some revisions along the way. Mainly it focused on monitoring and preventing erosion in our water systems and pipe, because that's how metals, when it grows, that's how you get the loose metals into the water as far as well. 2014, when Flint happened, it changed everything. That's a long time ago, so I know it's a long time since then that we're not really talking about this, but So in 2019, 5 years after the Flint crisis, the EPA issued their first real major revisions, the lead and copper rule. 2021, when they proposed in 2021, they actually enacted them. But then also in 2021, we had a new administration that pulled that back, and they spent a couple of years reviewing that, reconsidering those rules. 2024, they finally did another release, and it's called the Lead and Copper Rule Improvement. So that's the rule that we're operating under right now. Just kind of wanted to give you a little history of the evolution of this and kind of tie this into how the Flint water crisis changed everything from a regulatory standpoint. So yeah, as I said, originally erosion control, monitoring, lead at the tap has been historically what we do. Over time, we've shifted that through the years with different updates, and especially after Flint. And now basically what the goal is find the lead and get it out of the system. We're not trying to prevent lead in drinking water like erosion control, although we still do that. EPA's approach and what they want all of our systems to do is to find those lead service lines and get them out of the system, which is a good approach. It's a significant burden on water systems. So where we are right now, so we submitted our existing lead service line inventory, which is kind of the first run in 2024. We did that through a program of the Arkansas Rural Water Association, where they had state funding. They were able to bring a consultant on that worked with several utilities around the state to develop these initial inventories. Our inventory is done, or the initial one is done, it's submitted, we're compliant with the rules and regs. It didn't cost us anything since we had to state money. But while met regulatory requirements, we really got what we paid. We didn't pay anything. So the vast majority of this inventory doesn't actually identify well, including some when we given them information identifying those lines. Several utilities were not happy with how this worked out, and so we've all been working last year coming up with new plans and doing this ourselves. So because November 1, 2027 is the deadline for our next round of inventory to turn in, and that one is what we call baseline inventory. And that's what's going to trigger requirements for replacement. Right now, we have about we actually have less than 7,000, but when they completed that initial inventory, we were about 7,000 under. I said earlier, we have no confirmed red lines in our system. We've never run across them. The only lead that we've actually found is some connector pieces called pigtails and fuse connects, and that's only been a handful of those. Those are not considered service lines. As far as now, obviously, if we find them, we get them out. But they're not a significant source that is part of these regulations. So basically, once we turn our inventory in 2027, every confirmed lead line, every galvanized service line that is downstream of a lead line. So if the city's portion from the main to the meter is lead, and then from the meter to the house it's galvanized, that's a galvanized requiring replacement. It has to go into a replacement plan. And then anything unknown, we have to treat it as a.
Let's clarify what you just said. Going to the house,
Yes.
it has to be replaced, and at whose expense?
To be the city.
It's at the city's expense.
So that was one of the bigger. There was a lot of arguing, discussing, I think EPA was going through this. The line from the meter to the house is private. But under these regulations, if it's triggered for replacement, the city, the utility, I shouldn't say city, well, water utility is triggered with the city, but the utility is required to do that replacement.
But only if it's triggered.
Only if it's triggered, correct. So that's those three cases. So the key is the unknowns. What do you think? You look up top, we have about 7,000. We have less than 7,000, but that was the number on our initial report. That's a real problem. And so what a lot of utilities started doing is basically going out and trying to excavate and look at every single service line in their system, at least the ones that they didn't know. newer stuff, we actually do know that, it's not gonna happen on service line, especially since, lead was banned back in the eighties and you get used more for it. So a lot of new stuff, we can eliminate pretty quickly. But, the idea of having to physically go and, let's say we have to do 6,000 or 5,000. There's no way to get that done within any reasonable amount of time, and that's a lot of digging and a lot of people charts.
And mainly wards 2 and 3.
Yeah, 2 and 3 would be hit pretty hard. And so we've been working with a company called 120 Water, had some meetings with them, coming up with a plan. So as with anything, new regulation, what works, what doesn't evolves. So the EPA and Arkansas Department of Health are now allowing a couple of different methods for doing these inventories. One would be statistical analysis, which is a really good method that we've not found in that service line. So right now we're a candidate for that. Basically, you would go develop a plan to sample 20% of your service lines in town. But it's still a lot to go dig at, but it's significantly less. If we find no lead, then we can develop a statistical basis that, these are our known lines and everything else is going to be fine. If we do find a lead line or a service line, whether it's, the city's portion or the private portion, then we have to pivot to a predictive model. Which then it is more digging, it's more work on my guys, a lot of guys that are working with this company doing that. But then basically what we're doing is we're sampling more in different places and trying to use a computer modeling to predict what areas would have this, what areas would not, so that we can continue to whittle down those unknowns and increase the amount of the cost. If for the statistical analysis, which is what I want to start doing and get going right now. It's just under $30,000. Just to make sure council is good. If we do run across a lead service line out there, and it be just one, then we have to pivot to that predictive modeling, which would increase the price to 50,000. They would add another 20,500 to the contract, and this is a 1-year contract. You can complete it done.
And what happens if we don't comply? We don't do it.
Oh, yeah, funds. Once we do that, included with our inventory, if we have known stuff or unknown that we have to replace, we have to lay out a 10-year plan. So basically every year we're replacing 10%. So at the end of that 10 years, theoretically everything will be replaced. And that is, that's part of our licensing to operate water system. We got to simplify. It would be no different than if we were routinely found water quality sampling that was causing problems, that we got regulatory issues.
So do you need a motion for up to $50,000, or do you need a motion up to the 30,000?
I'm comfortable with up to the 30,000. That way, I've got to come back to you and kind of let you know where we're at if we have to.
And you don't know when that money is going to be spent, but you don't know when you would be.
I'll ask them to set it up as quarterly payments, but I can break it out. There'll be an initial payment and probably another one this year.
And that does not come from what, a general fund, it'll come out of water.
This will be one for.
Infrastructure tax wages.
The water fund would be the water and sewer rates. I'm going to propose we use that instead of infrastructure.
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure for this statistical analysis in the amount of $30,000.
I have a motion, here, second. Any discussion?
So wait, if the first line you guys get into is the lead line.
I'm coming back and asking for another $30,000. Yes, sir.
Is there a different route that we can start with? That would eliminate you having to come back to ask these questions?
As far as just a difference.
What is the agenda item or as a citizen government?
Proof methods of, that should be together for the hospital fund. Or that we bring other options.
And the first line we break into is lead or fine is lead. Is this we'll have to do that for the 20%?
Yeah, because when we do we'll do the 20% for statistical modeling, and then, you know, if we do have that, then before going into the predictive modeling, we'll have to start digging more in order to kind of generate areas, you know, we coverage, no area, so that the models will start predicting like that. So we would be digging, we'll dig our 20% like what, and then it's just a matter of how much more.
Any more discussion?
Right.
Not,
I'm sorry, I mean, it seems like this would be the time for the public to get up and comment if at all.
According to the rules, it is supposed to be done when the item is called. That's what the agenda, the rules on the agenda say that.
then we have a regular copy, there'll be a citizen comment section at the end of the speech.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like, motion is passed. You know, Mitch, it stays with you.
Yes, sir. We're in the financial portion.
And before you get started, Kurt Grisham has signed up to speak on this agenda item.
Okay, well, it's hard, because we're a public, and you don't know anything about it, and I found this, I took everything from the table, I don't want to take the last one of anything. But is this the total financial statement that we're talking about?
This is the financial statement, it's a summary that Mr. Frederick, CFO, gives out. There's detailed financials that the council will get later that also are available to the public. But this is the summary, report through June.
It's really hard to read for one thing, I mean, it would help, you know, people like me if it's a little bigger. And, do we ever, the public ever see a balance sheet or, you know, P&L, so.
Well, we see, and it's, can you speak to exactly what's available?
Sure.
Where it's available?
Yeah, so we actually put the P&L online, it's under the city council proceedings. Out on our website, it actually should be there now, I'm not sure if we got it quite uploaded yet, but, if it goes that way, they can take it back and look at it and see if they have any questions, and then they can either call me or we can discuss it with the council meeting.
So it's just kind of highlights?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's how
the actual one is up about 32 to 33 pages long. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's some individuals that will take that and write it down and give one of us a call. But for the most part, this is an initial summary to look at, and then the council has access, and the public does, to the full one as well. And then it's broken up by fund and line item, so you can see individual items.
And that full, that's just the cover page.
Right.
On the council proceedings, in the council proceedings folder is the cover page with the entire budget, and it's there now.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to suggest that a P&L would be the decent meetings.
Yeah, well, what you have there, but also you have essentially, when you look at cash flows at the bottom, that line item is basically the P&L line.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Luke, natural statement.
Sure, I'll just, again, just hit the highlights here. And I talked to Mitch earlier. It's crazy how, when you look at these financials for the month of June especially, our actuals and our budget number of each particular department is roughly $2,000 to $3,000 different. So we did a really good job this year, at least for June, of being right on target of what our budget was supposed to be. You do have a few ins and outs. There is a little bit of difference in the water revenue, because we did a large adjustment for last month. So last month was a little high, this month's a little low, it evened out. We also had something with the fire department. We went back and did a look back of a few years on business licenses, and everybody that was no longer in there, we voided out those invoices, so there's a big negative dollar amount in those business license lines. But for the most part, everything else looks really good. We're in the black in most departments. Even please, good job, chief. I'll take it, it's $1,200, but it's positive, so, it's good number to have. It does show in total, obviously, we're down 1.6 million. That all can be attributed to infrastructure projects and the street repaving. All 100% of that, so, everything else we're kind of ahead of schedule.
Make any other comments in regard to that 1.4, and how that's affected in the future or anything like that?
1.1, sorry.
The total.
Oh.
Total cash flow of 1.660.
I got you. We anticipated that, that was part of our budget so going forward, obviously, we're not looking to do that every year. In infrastructure, as you know, we might spend $200,000 one year, and the next year we might spend 20 million. It just depends on how much we're able to save up in that infrastructure fund and what projects we have going on at the time, or if anything's delayed. $20,000 probably not a realistic number, or 200,000. Usually we're spending about $500,000 a year on those slow years. And in bigger years, we're probably looking at closer to 4 or 5. We've done 10, but it's not typical.
Okay. Any questions? This is for information only. Any questions with council?
And with the tax that was approved, right, the way that that's, he's gotta be more consistent now.
Yeah, that's gonna help us project out. Obviously, again, big projects we'll have to save money for unless we want to do a bond issue. I'm not anticipating doing that. In the past, we've not done bond issues for infrastructure projects. If something came up that we had to, we have the ability now that it's there for perpetuity. So again, hopefully we can knock some of these bigger projects out and get them done, but they'll always keep them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one under our agenda tonight will be Heritage Housing Authority, reappointment of Brad Brand. Reed, do you want to say anything to this?
Yes, please. The Harrison Housing Authority, for your information, is led by Executive Director Tom Briefly. I think I pronounced the name. Thank you. And is supported by the Harrison Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, which is 5 individuals, one of which is Mr. Brad Brown. Interestingly, the chair of that commission is sitting with us here. Would you like to add any comments before we ask for a motion to reappoint Mr. Brown?
First of all, I will be abstaining from the vote, so just to be clear on that. And now this group's been together for many years, and I think we are so excited about everything that in the past few years that Sean has been able to do with that program, and has the state uses Harrison as an example of what can be done. And we appreciate all the work that Council and Sean that office. So
thank you. The Harrison Housing Authority is a Section 8 federal program within the United States that helps families, seniors, and others with disabilities who may have a need for assistance regarding housing. They have done an excellent job in the past. I would support and solicit at this time a motion to sustain the appointment of Mr. Brad Brown to the Board of Commissioners, supporting him. I'll make the motion. Thank you.
Second, have a motion for reappointment. I hear second. Larry seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of this reappointment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
I abstain.
Motion passes. All right, the next one under new business is employee contract in the city. This is ordinance. And since I'm sitting in this position tonight, I've asked Mr. Magnus to handle this for me.
And Mr. Mayor, this is standard housekeeping. We have one member of the city that we need to go ahead and approve the ordinance for. And it's Mr. Chuck Eddington with Parks and Rec, of course. But also, he has a business on the side, and I wanted to go through and explain his business and how his working in the city should not be going up compromise that.
And just as a point of order, you're also adding Dalton Ramsey, who is with Public Works.
I'm just a part of the company, but, what it is it's a single product. It's a frozen treat. The name of the LLC is Game Day Chill. So what it is, it's a concession item. It's made for concessions, stands for schools, for Parks and Rec, for private entities like AAO or Fayetteville, any major kid events, tournaments, things like that. That's what the product is for. Our business is 95% wholesale. So we won't sell it to Harrison Parks and Rec or Harrison School or Valley School or any other school at any different price than we do anybody in Northwest Arkansas. We also may be selling it to distributors local like Pippin, which we would discount the price a little bit because they would be doing the delivery themselves and the store. So that's what it is a concession product. I'll tell you how it started is for 2 years, we've been selling a product called Johnny Freeze. And this year, I look back and see how many we sold. We sold 12,000 units, which is a cup. That made us about 30 grand. We buy them for $250, we sell them for $5. That's making money for Parks and Rec, but we can't get it the product when we need it. We can't get it delivered, or we would have sold 15 to 18,000 cups, which would have made us $45,000 to $50,000. That's why the idea came to us. So I got with one of the best snow cone makers in the community that had a trailer. So that's how the business came together, and we would love to sell to Parks and Rec. And understand I work for Parks and Rec. That's why I brought it to the city council.
So, Chuck, can you give us a list of other individuals that you're selling the product to, or approach them to sell the product to?
Yeah, so I'm a Parks and Rec director, so of course I've talked to Parks and Rec directors in Northwest Arkansas, out here, Springdale, Fayetteville, where a lot of tournaments are every weekend, where I was playing with my kids. So I've talked to them about it and gave them some numbers on what we sell, but also the schools. Harrison will actually have this product in their concession stand on September 3rd at the first junior high home game. And then Valley Springs is gonna have an order already next week for volleyball. And back when, of course, basketball will be coming in after volleyball. So it's just, I haven't went out and sold a lot because we're waiting on our approval next week. We've applied for the business license in Harrison, and we're waiting on our inspection now, which could happen either tomorrow or Monday. And then we're FDA approved in a trailer, but I have a brick and mortar now that's in town that we're getting approved for to make the product.
So who you're in partnership with other individuals?
Yeah, Dalton Ramsey works for the city. He's one of our partners in Keaton Brand.
And can you keep employed by the city?
No, Keaton is not employed by the city.
Okay. And so, you can understand how the people might see there's a conflict.
Yes, sir.
Is we want to make sure that there's nothing that appears that you're getting benefit from it by being with the city of Harrison. Your other option would be to sell it to somebody else and have them sell it to the city of Harrison, but then there'd be a markup.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we're not charging any more than we were buying the Johnny Freeze for, so like it's still gonna be the same. It's a better product, in my opinion, of course.
So,
Which I'm the salesman, so
well, don't sell here.
I'm not, I'm just letting you know.
So you're the parks director here. So,
Yes.
so that was the reason why you couldn't get other product.
They just couldn't deliver it. I mean, they're stationed out of Central Arkansas. So a lot of the ones I talked to, because I'm the one that got it up in here, because I saw it at one of our travel tournaments down in Caddy. So I talked to him and got it up here, and then he just can't keep up with our deliveries, because you gotta understand that league nights, we got 4,000 people at the complex. Every 4 nights a week, at least 2,000. We're selling out on Monday, and they delivers it on Saturday, and we don't have it the rest of the week, so we don't have it a couple of nights.
So inventory is your problem.
Inventory is the problem.
And if you would continue to buy, you'd have to buy a walk-in cooler or something like that.
Yeah, and I bought 2 extra freezers just to stock it, and we're still selling.
Okay.
Because it's a good money maker for Parks and Rec concession stand, which helps us in our budget. With more tournaments means more profits for Parks and Rec and our concession stand.
Mr. Addington, is there any competitors you have that can provide equivalent level of service that you are today to the parks and recreation?
Johnny Freeze will be the only one, and the only reason why we decided to start the business because we could not keep, they can't keep up with our sales.
So it's either you or nothing.
I would stay with Johnny Freeze if he could deliver, but I think this is a better product, because we've done some. We've been working on this for a while.
And the schools are aware of, and other potential buyers are well aware of their product and your product and that.
They actually approached me when they found out I was doing it, schools did. So I haven't went out, we haven't went out and sold anything yet, I just know because they asked me if they could have this one in there, because of the delivery deal, because of course I'm local in this area.
Thank you, sir.
So Harrison School, Valley Springs School, what other parks departments? Anybody else, Missouri?
Yeah, I'll be talking, I'm talking to Hanson, but I'm not really doing any like final contracts until I get all my approvals in. Cause I'm still waiting on my business license approval.
Who's you looking for that?
That's the fire department.
You're in, Mark?
And the health department came in and did an inspection, so I mean, it's FDA approved product. I would say
You're gonna have any employees locally?
our families are employees right now, but yes, it's it's a seasonal thing, of course, with the frozen deal, it's gonna be seasonal, it's gonna sell more mid-March to probably the end of September, mid-October. Cause football, of course, it's hot out there in the bleachers right now, that's why they're wanting to have the schools for football season, but your baseball, softball, track seasons, that's when it's really gonna be the high commodity, because it's an outdoor sports. So
It would be a lot easier to make a decision with samples.
I can, as soon as I get that information through.
A lot of people.
That's what we're waiting on, for.
Yeah. But
The flavor's clear.
no, they do have dyes in them, and I went through that process. Now eventually we may have dye-free products, but right now we do have dyes in them.
To the city attorney, is there any concerns, conflict of interest here that we as city council members should give additional thought to?
Absolutely. That's why it's required by ordinance that it's fully contemplated and transparent and discussed by council. That's why we have an ordinance that requires it and state law.
Doing my best to see all aspects of this, and I'm wondering about this.
More important consideration will need to be taken if there's any expenditure by the city to this entity, to this vendor, making sure that it was a fair and competitive opportunity for other vendors to compete on an even playing field.
Any of your revenues coming from city sources?
This city,
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean, not, I mean, like, we purchased the other product, of course, for our concession stand.
I mean, you will receive city.
Yeah, we'll receive revenues, as to how much Parks and Rec.
From city government.
Mhm. And I'm just a part of the business, but I'm here tonight as a spokesman, so. Because it is directly under park, so I thought I should be the one to come up there and explain why we're doing
It's a little bit sensitive situation.
it. I agree, that's why I wanted to bring it to council.
Well, we would be bringing it to council because that's what the ordinance 1555 is for. So we have 2 employees that are involved in the business, so the question would be whether council is willing to make a motion second and approve it. We have others, obviously, there's a pretty long list of individuals on this list that do business with the city as well. That's the purpose of the ordinance. So some of those, for example, Mr. Phillips is on the North Arkansas College Foundation and the NARC board, which we paid money to. So the question once again, is anyone willing to make a motion for approval to allow them to operate as a business and conduct business with the city.
I'll make a motion.
I'll say.
Mr. Mayor,
Have a motion and a second on this ordinance. All in favor, say aye. Is this the one read ordinance?
Correct.
Abstain.
I abstain.
we're supposed to do that before the vote.
All right.
Well, there is no form.
We did. So then the question is, it's a one read ordinance, but it's by title only, so we'll have to suspend the rules, so the motion will need to be remade. Need to rescind the current motion.
I can.
Okay.
I'll rescind my current motion.
Okay, and then your motion would have to be that you,
I'll make another motion
to suspend the
to
rules
suspend the rules.
and place it on, its first reading, first and only reading.
Correct.
First and only reading by title only.
First and only reading by title only.
Did I have a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Let
All
me
in
ask,
favor?
we asked why you guys had to. Stay from?
They're on this list.
Oh, okay.
You abstain. I
Not,
abstain.
not as an item of new action because they were previously on ordinances that are now in effect as of January. We do it every January. But this is adding names to the list, and so out of an abundance of caution, they're abstaining from this vote as well.
Any further discussion?
Well, this is gonna be a significant amount of money. So we will need to make sure that it's transparent with the, you know, if we get contact from the people that do John and Freeze, it's gonna have to be somebody to review that and make sure that it's competitive.
100%.
I can do a monthly report for you, or whoever I need to turn it into.
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor of this motion, from ordinance 1555, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like the motion passes as written.
No. Okay.
Point of clarification, was the last vote for approval of the ordinance or approval of the read? Okay. Ordinance number 1555, an ordinance authorizing certain city employees and officials to contract with the city.
Need a motion for adoption.
It goes in, well, I guess we would need a motion for adoption, would we not? Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adoption, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
So, can I still talk on that? This just allows us to do business with you, right? Doesn't necessarily mean we have to, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I'm probably under more balance to them changing something that we.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Joe. All right, Mitch, you gonna take care of the next one?
Yes, sir. Next item is no business, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Fire is going to come up, we're going to place, discuss this, is pretty much housekeeping as well.
And also, by the way, Kurt Grisham has signed up to speak on this ordinance.
Mr. Grisham, comment that you want to make about this? Yeah, sorry, there's no burden. You're fine, sir. You're absolutely fine. So at this time, I'd make a motion that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 1555 on its, I'm sorry, 1554 on its third and final reading by title only.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, are there any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Ordinance number 1554, an ordinance establishing a policy defining fixed assets for the city of Harrison, Arkansas.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adoption ordinance 1554, any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, move on to the next.
Mayor, the next item is the consideration of the sale of surplus piece of property.
And we have several people who have signed up to speak on this agenda item.
First will be Kurt Grisham.
Sir, before you talk, my comment wasn't. I hope no one forget that we wouldn't be business with you, I'm just making it clear that we don't have to.
Yeah.
But,
I'm not eating anything that's Chuck is prepared.
I'm sure my dog will love it, so.
Okay. I'm on the clock, right? Yes. So the first thing I'd like to do is, just read my purpose for the. What I would do if you approve my bid, which is, to my knowledge, is $5,000 more than the next highest bid. That, and as I understand it, y'all are gonna be considering it based on the use, the proposed use. So, I just wanted to read my statement. I was hoping it would be up there, but. I will instill an interpretive pollinator garden in memory of my sister Hallie D to teach people, especially children, of the vital role of honeybees in our ability to eat and survive. My sister cared about bees and planted a large pollinator plot at her property on Old Farm Road. My plan adds nature, beauty, and education within a half block of the library. I will endow a fund for the Hallie Bee Park to ensure it is maintained in perpetuity. This urban pocket park will provide oxygen and visual relief from all the cars that otherwise will be crammed into that area. I also believe there is ample parking around the square within easy walking distance to everywhere in the district. Those are my prepared statement. I would also mention that I've come in here with blank contracts to fill in the amount here to win this, if it's a fair bidding process. And I guess I would just also mention on this 45 seconds of my life, that I don't know exactly what the harness company is planning on doing in downtown, but if it's big trucks and industrial, I would suggest that's not really appropriate for downtown Harrison. So if that lot is just gonna be filled with big trucks, it's gonna be kind of, I don't know, a hardship possibly. And again, I think my pocket park in memory of my sister would be a better use. And I also formally object to the city preferring one bidder over myself based on personal connections, which is how it appears to me. And I'll just step down.
Mr. Grisham, thank you very much. Mr. White, next person to speak on behalf of the property.
Is Joshua Moore.
Mr. Moore?
Good evening, Councilman. Joshua Moore, owner of Moore's Barbershop, and I wasn't at the last meeting, but the meeting previous, I did purchase the piece of property at 119 North Spring Street. I quickly outgrew my barbershop that I was currently renting right next to Hotel Seville and found a wonderful piece of property to continue to grow my business. I should have done more due diligence when it comes to the survey of the property, but I did not. And upon the initial sale, only about an hour prior to its first sale, I was known and aware of the situation. I'm still just, if I've got a proposal in on that piece of property, that 0.1 of an acre as well. If it either goes to Magnus or the bee pollination, that would leave me 3 parking spaces out front.
Okay, but which you said the Magnus.
Or the harness, sorry, not Magnus, harness, harness roofing.
I'm not buying it.
Sorry, no. Harness
Doesn't have
roofing,
anything to do.
harness roofing, and just, am I allowed to ask questions at this time, or is the statements? Okay. Regardless, I have put a bid in for the original offer amount that was first accepted by the sellee and the proposed amount. I'm a small business owner, I'm a father of 5, and I elected to bring my business to you guys. I commute from Missouri 5 days a week to provide service for a handful of people in this room, family members of this room. And if I could not secure some parking, then that would require either people parking in front of the Cloggers or Dollar General or on the square. And from my knowledge, the Harness Roofing would have access to public parking on the square. And this would just be additional parking. Basically, I'm just trying to secure some parking for myself and my clients, that people didn't have to walk anywhere from 100 to 200 feet in 100-degree weather or 10-degree weather. And it just looked, after further investigation, it just looked a little that I don't think it was a matter of the right person asking the question. I think it was a matter of the right person asking the question. I don't think it was a matter of the correct person asking the right question. If that means, because to my understanding, that this 0.1 acre, not once, not twice, but potentially 3 times had been turned down the sale because it wasn't for sale. And then all of a sudden, the right person has interest in it and it's being sold. That's it, guys. So I've formally submitted my offer and that's that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Appreciate your comments. Mr. White, anybody else come to speak?
The last one is Kim Jennett.
Good evening, I am here on behalf of Justin Harness and the Rock Holdings. We have submitted a formal offer for the property. I think it exceeds fair market value for the tract that it is. It complements the additional parcel that was recently purchased by the Rock Holdings. As you all know, Harness Roofing has been in town and in business for more than 50 years. This will be the corporate office that is being leased by the Rock Holdings to Harness Roofing and additional entities as well. So this will be a corporate office. It will maintain our service branch with service trucks on the north side of town by Western Sizzling. If we have any additional questions, I'm happy to take those, but I just wanted to make an introduction and thank you to the council for your consideration.
Mr. White, anybody else?
That is all.
Anybody else wanting with their council, any questions that you would have?
I have one question. Trying to differentiate other considerations. One of the things is what is the impact on our city in terms of economics, number of jobs lost or gained or similar. Are there any considerations in that area that we should be aware of? Your thoughts?
Mr. Petty, I don't know what the rest of the council thinks. We tried to sell 3 pieces of property and we seem to trip over it every time we do this. I don't think we have a good process. And I think we as a council and as a city need to set up a process depending on the value of the property and how it's sold. How we handle these in the future. The problem is we tabled this twice. And it seems to be a concern, there was an issue whether or not the property was viable, and it appears that it's viable for multiple reasons. And you get into choosing to whether what is the best course, what or best use of the property. And I'm not comfortable saying, well, parking for an employee at the Rock Holdings versus the customer going to get their haircut versus Mr. Grisham's offer to build a pocket park. One is better use than the other without a lot more information.
Well, the information that I'm reading here that was distributed to the council says that Harness Roofing, this will facilitate up to 9 additional employees over the next 3 years. So should be terrible. I think we should. I don't see much room to park large trucks on this, we can better park one car lengthwise. And, I worry about, will these run off people that are trying to buzz around? I don't know if that's a concern or not, I'm really ignorant in that area. So.
We're going to answer that.
That's up to Mr. Petty.
Yes.
Bees are everywhere all the time, hopefully, you know, so I don't think a pollinator plot or a pocket park with plant species that are attracted to bees are gonna create a hazard. It's only gonna, it's an attempt to teach about the importance of bees to our survival, because without bees, which are in decline, honeybees are in decline, and without them, we die.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you, sir. Harness, am I reading your statement correctly?
Yes, sir, you're correct. We have plans right now. We have 11 full-time employees that will be in the building with plans to expand to 20 to 25 within 5 years.
Thank you.
Will there be commercial vehicles parked in those spots?
The intention at beginning, obviously, is not, it will be our corporate office. If we have, the commercial vehicles that are parked there, it will be for daytime meetings. Whenever they come down, we will be holding monthly and quarterly meetings. We have 13 different branches across several states that will be coming into town, so we will be held down with the corporate office. So we would have the parking and maybe a service truck there. So I don't say we would never have a service truck there, but that would not be our parking. Like I said, we will make a north branch location where we can.
Service truck is meaning just a pickup truck or a large work truck. We're not talking about semi.
No, furniture can is not currently owned as semi. It would be a service truck, which is a full-size Ford. Thanks.
And the city administration had any further information as to help us understand why we should pick one of these offers over the other?
Just want to make a point of clarification, been mentioned a couple times that there was concern about the dealings and how this came about. I was actually there, whenever we talked to Mr. Harness the very first time that I knew about it. I'm also not aware of any offers that have been made on this parcel, previously. To my knowledge, we've not received any. We did have a meet with Mr. Harness and talking about opportunity zones and the downtown historic district and tax credits. Obviously, we meet with anybody downtown to discuss tax credits because we're looking into them ourselves. In that meeting, he actually asked who owns the piece of property behind that's adjacent to his parking lot back there, and we said that we did. And he asked what we had any intention to do with it. We said, we don't really have anything. He said, would you sell it? And we said, yes. And he said, what would you sell it for? I said, you'd have to make an offer. He did that, we brought it to you, and that's how this has all worked out. So if anybody trying to infer this was shady, I just want to do a point of clarification that the city would not do that. The city is above board, and that is how this all came about. Aside from that, I know everything from reading it as well as you guys do, from the jobs to the pollinator park to the new upcoming business, so.
So we literally have 3 reasons to vote for each one of these, besides the amounts in the offer. We don't have, council, we don't have any process. Did anybody else speak to that?
No, we don't.
Let me ask you a question. You said we have never had an offer except for what Mr. Harness made at that point. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of any of it, did.
How can that be? My offer was right over there on the table.
Before it.
Prior to.
Prior to this.
And no one has.
But nobody knew about it either, to make an offer on it, and Mr. Moore did make an offer on it, he expressed an interest, so I don't think that's right, and I was here 2 weeks ago.
No, Mr. Grisham, I think what they're talking about was 2 years ago or a year ago. No one realized it was city property. And
When I had that New Way Cleaners building under contract before Joshua Moore, I came to the city also and asked about it, and I couldn't get anywhere.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
Who did you go to?
I went to Brad, to Wade Phillips. I went to Carl Ryan, I believe,
No, you and I talked about it when we were looking at buying.
and I was like, is there a survey? And it's not, and I tried to get a survey, and you recall that, yeah, I'm interested in. Way back.
And then you didn't purchase the building, so your interest was gone.
But my investigation of that dirt was gone also because I met with a dead end. That apparently was, not a problem for the harness fit.
No, Kurt, I told you, if you're interested and you buy the building, we can get you in touch with the mayor's office. We didn't have a survey to provide you, and I wasn't gonna pay for one.
So how do you know about the parcel? How did suddenly the information on the parcel come up? I mean, it's got a parcel number. When I asked about it, you say, okay, here's the parcel number, the city owns it, if you'd like to buy it, you can offer, maybe kind of similar to what has happened, what was described there. That was back months ago. Before the meeting you're describing.
That was, but you also didn't know about buying the Midway building, so I don't know what.
That might have been part of it, that might have been part of the reason I didn't buy it, wait,
Not
because I knew I would.
Well, then, let's not get into the.
I expressed an interest in Soda Jockey more.
Right.
And what we witnessed 2 weeks ago. I don't think past the smell test, but there are plenty of people that agree with that. Even if there was no intentional understanding dealing, it sure looked like.
Any inference that it was on here to this building.
Discussing.
So how do we know, how do we know that was our fault? It's the city's fault.
We did know it was our property, right? That's what he's saying.
Yeah, well, when we were going through looking at city property, trying to just get a list, I mean, it's. I don't know, I think I knew about it a couple of years ago, when we started figuring it out. Maybe one, nobody knew until we noticed it on the parcel review.
So I gotta ask this question when Mr. Crockett bought the property. That. The Rock Holdings now owns, correct, with the parking lot in the backside. Did they inquire about this?
If you made an offer or anything, I mean, we talked about it, and I know what I talked to them, I said, if you're interested, get the mayor.
Yeah. So he didn't make an offer at that time.
No, he didn't.
But wait, you knew at that time that it was our property, it was the city's property? And we're leading them to believe that it may not be, but it be in, mayor? Is that what, I mean, is that how the conversation's going?
We're not leading to believe that it's not our property. It's always been out there that it's our property.
So how did Mr. Grisham know, how did it become undetermined that he didn't know that it was the city's property?
I don't think there was ever a point that it wasn't determined.
I don't know, where.
Yeah, I think it's always been, the city said, hey, it's our property, but nobody was approaching them.
No.
Until, Mr. Harness said, what about this other piece of property?
So
Who owns it?
instead of them asking who owns it, may have been asked, who, is it up for sale? I guess, is that the right question that was asked? With the city?
He said, would you be willing to sell it?
Yeah.
I said,
Cause he bought the adjacent property and then he turned around and said, hey, this is owned by the city, and we're looking at our property, we see this, it belongs to the city of Harrison, probably. When he bought the plat from Mr. Crockett. Would that be an assumption? I don't wanna make an assumption, but if he brought it up to the city, he had to know that it was owned by the city, and I assume he found that out when he bought the property from Mr. Crockett.
So what's best for the city?
That's where we are.
What's the answer?
I know, I'll be honest, just to read, I don't have a good, Mr. Harness has made 2 offers, 3 offers, no, 2 offers in good faith. And we've tabled it twice. Mr. Moore's expressed interest in it, and I understand why he would want it.
And has made an offer.
And has made an offer, and according to, the conversation that he had with Mr. Harness, if I understand correct, he said you could use it unless there was some reason you couldn't, right?
verbally.
Right, and we have an offer of 5,000 more from Mr. Grisham. So how do we determine which of those is the correct way?
What's best for downtown?
What is best for downtown? What's best for the city of Harrison?
No, subjective was pure opinion. We sold two other pieces of property in these two, one with Daddy and one with the Judy's installation.
Right.
Our consideration was there was it not that they already owned property next to it, that we were selling that property to them to extend?
And Judy's, yes, I know that for sure.
Judy's, yeah, it basically, their parking lot on the side of the building, was city property up to the front of the building. When we were saying with Big Daddy G's, it was just a lot down there. That pretty much went up to the edge of Big Daddy G's building, so they've been, city owned property down there for years. They occasionally ask us to fix the parking, but, so yeah, those were sold directly to adjacent landowners. Couple reasons: one, they were adjacent to existing parking that was used by those businesses, and two, they are in floodway and floodplain, so they're not very usable.
And I will say there's another option here, which partially hesitate to mention. We could leave it city property and say city property that allowed for parking, but then we have to maintain. Right? So, yeah, we have to continue to maintain. And then it could be used by anybody. There's no restrictions on it. It's public parking. Although we say that there's not enough room there to park their names. So the question would be, Mr. Mayor, if anybody will make a motion on any of these, and whether or not we can come to some sort of determination of what's the best use for it.
I think to get into that discussion within the council is we do need a motion on the floor and go into council discussion.
What is the city planning commission's position on this? Have they issued a recommendation?
No.
Why would
This would be outside their scope.
Well, there's two things. We've, in two previous instances, we've sold the property owner that's next to property. And we have sold a House of Hope, we sold to a buyer at a lower price than what we were offered.
Right.
So.
And express why that is.
And the reason being is it was from the Recovery Center of the Ozarks, and that was because it was benefit to the community. So we have two harvests.
That's a nonprofit, sir. These are all for profit.
If you'll give me the privilege of speaking, you'll have your turn. Thank you. Again, and I believe the opportunity here is that Mr. Harris has been very gracious and given us an opportunity to do that. He's offered Mr. Moore parking space when available, and I believe he was going to pay that area.
So then now Mr. Moore is also an adjacent property owner.
Yes.
So we have to consider that as well.
And his offer is 7,500.
Right.
And Mr. Harris is
More than that.
Mr. Harness's was much, my initial, my offer.
Excuse me. Mr. Phillips will have to give you the floor. He had it before, so he'll have to give it to you in the last to ask the question. That's up to you.
Let me finish.
Yes.
In my opinion, for the growth and improvement of downtown, I think the offer for Mr. Harris is what we ought to take. That's my opinion. So, Mr. Moore, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that my initial offer of $7,500 just matches the original offer that was maybe shot from the, just given. Under these circumstances, like I said, I'm just, as much as he's trying to benefit and grow his business, so am I. I cut city council members, I cut firefighters, I cut children. I mean, I feel like that would have just as much of a significant impact.
Right.
For somebody to park on the square and have to walk a block away to come get a haircut. Because I would have 3 parking spaces. And I invited to build a bigger building because I'm growing. I'm adding at least 2 more barbers when I do open up my new establishment. So yes, I'm continuing to grow as well. And yeah, I didn't know my legal standings the first couple of times that I've come in here. And now that I didn't know that I was able to show interest in that piece of property, now that I do know that, absolutely. Yes, sir.
That's very interesting. So Harness already has parking back there. And Mr. Moore does not in that dirt patch. Also, this is adjacent to his property. It is not adjacent to Mr. Harness's, is it? So that, I think that's compelling argument for Mr. Moore having.
It is adjacent to.
And so if money considerations is now off, basically, I mean, if you can turn down $5,000 higher offer, then you're really deciding what's the benefit to Harrison, which is subjective, but it's up to you, it's up to your
Well,
opinion.
and let's clarify, the Harness property is adjacent to this property.
There's an alley between, isn't there?
No,
No,
they own the parking lot that literally butts up adjacent to this. So
The chain, that piece.
yeah, that used to be Boone County Library.
So they have lots, Joshua has a little,
Mhm.
so.
Well, and
Help him.
yeah,
The new entrepreneur.
here's the problem, we're trying to make this decision.
If I may add, please, also, I think Mr. Moore doesn't even appreciate, the most important thing about that is his air rights there. If you ever build, I know from having studied it before with Wade and fire, that if I ever wanted to build another level in there, we'd definitely have to have another means of egress. That means he needs a place to land his fire escape. That would be that patch outside. And I would let him do that fine. I wouldn't interfere with his air rights.
And here's the problem with all of this, we're gathering all this information, and all it is doing is confusing the issue, because we're trying to make a decision, almost a moral decision, about who gets the best use for the property.
Right, and I'm trying to add something to that, why it would be best for me to get it, because I'll protect his air rights and I'll let him land his fire escape on there when he needs it. You know,
And the harnesses may do that very same thing, work with them. That's the problem. Once you own the property, you're in control of it. They can put up a fence, you know, put a pocket garden in it. Once you own it, you can do whatever. And one of my concerns here, it seems like the council's having a problem with this decision. And I don't want this to end up, for lack of a better word, we need a process to handle this, so there's more information. And I don't want to get into the fact we might have a bidding war where they say, well, we're gonna have this or whatever. And then have to make a justification. It was very uncomfortable the night we did the recovery center of the Ozark property, because we get less money on the table. Fortunately, they did what they said they were gonna do with the property, but they weren't obligated to do that. But we chose a lesser amount because we had individuals here that said, the board from that organization said, we're gonna use this for the property and it'll help the community.
But they're a nonprofit, I don't think it's fair comparison. They're all.
Councilman Magnus,
Yes,
on your issue with regard to a process, if I could provide council with a sheet of a process to consider for the disposition of surplus property, council would so entertain.
yes,
May I also add something to?
yes.
Way back, the city had said that I was told that the process that was lined out was to let the realtors compete for the listing, let the realtor one put it out for bid and get you the highest and best value.
I believe I would give the floor. So give me a minute. That's what we're about to address.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you just a simplified version, and this is only a consideration for a process to consider. This would involve whether the city has identified a piece of property as surplus and therefore listed it for sale, or whether an individual comes to us and says, hey, I think the city owns this property, I'm interested in buying it. Gives us a process by which it can either be listed with a broker if it's up above a certain threshold, or listed on the website as a surplus property with an invitation for bids to be received within, for instance, the next 30 days. And again, this is just an idea of a process that could be put in place. Council would need to consider, first of all, what that threshold would need to be. Also, how do we value a piece of property? If it's above the threshold, does it need to be appraised? If it's below the threshold, will a broker's value letter suffice? And it would give administration direction for how they can put out for sealed offers to be received by the city. Once they're received by the city and the deadline passes, the mayor's office and the clerk who receives the bids can open those, review those, and administration can decide which best meets the city's needs. City's needs may not always be the highest bidder. There are lots of reasons that the highest bidder may not be the best use for city purposes. For instance, I've said before, the city has a lot of tracts of land that are not necessarily well identified as city property. If we have a resident that identifies a parcel and says, I want to buy this, there would be a process in place by which that could be at least considered by the city and listed. Once sealed bids are received, reviewed, administration has a recommendation, then all of those offers are passed to council to see, as well as administration's recommendations for which to accept and specifics for why. And this is just an example of a type of process that can be used. There are many others, but we need to look at this from a backed up view. Instead of looking at this piece of property and how things have been handled with these parties, we need to consider, what are we going to do next month? And the month after that, and the month after that when this comes up. And this may be a good chance to develop a process by which that can happen.
And then in the meantime, we're in limbo again on this.
If I recall, previous conversations, we, as a council, talked about this, and we had a process. It was a significant value of property, we wanted to go through a real estate. If it was not a significant amount of property, we would not allow to be fees involved and all of that with real estate served its purpose for these. So this is why I think we gave the mayor the ability to make that decision on how to go, his discretion. So.
And we didn't put a limit.
No, we, at that time we did, it was just big and small. Okay, we weren't as clear as probably should have been in this, and looking at how you laid it out here, I can see that. But we still had that discussion between big and small. I consider this small. Compared to the big, we sold $100,000 or bigger with real estate agents, so we have a precedence that's been set there. Going through these, so I don't have an issue with it, how it's come about. First, someone had an interest, it progressed. As that path led. So then when Mr. Harness brought it about, then it brought it to the public's knowledge. At the previous meeting we had with Mr. Grisham, my issue with this offer of acceptance is it doesn't have a purpose stated within your offer. When you sat here in the audience 2 weeks ago, you made two comments. One was, I can buy it, turn around and sell it for more, so you wanted to sidestep it. The other one was that I can buy it and just sit on it, which is not in the best value of our downtown. We are trying to, through our historical district, eliminate that thought process in our buildings who are just sitting there. We don't want something to just sit there and be vacant and not be used. So I have a concern there, and your first initial response in being here wasn't related to having bees. That pollinator farm. So again, your purpose hasn't been stated in your offer. So there's nothing here to hold you to what you're telling us tonight. So I'm a little bit concerned about that pollinator gardening coming to true fruition. For with the other two offers, I do feel like those purposes have been stated, and that's the route that those would go. So I have more confidence in those offers for that reason. Yes, sir.
So the other two offers stated purpose is to do nothing, basically, it stays parking lot. Right.
That's a purpose.
It's a purpose, but there's no change there, and so. That would be really no different than buying old or buying flip, would it? And I was just finding out about it last week. I came down here to talk about the blinking red lights. You know, and I just stumbled into this issue. And so. You know, I didn't know to sign in to speak on a resolution, so I was pretty ignorant walking in here 2 weeks ago. I think my eyes have been open quite a bit. To this process, but I'm not sure I take your point. What I wanna do is make an improvement. What they wanna do actually is nothing. It's gonna look the same. It's gonna be a patch of dirt. From now on.
Purpose to serve for down.
A pocket park is a purpose too. And I would say a higher purpose, but you know, just like value, it's subjective. And when you say big, small, or when the mayor says this didn't have any value to anybody except the party that I'm giving it to, giving that leg up to. That's his opinion, as I stated, probably out of order. Opinion. What would determine the value is comparative market analysis by a broker. And
Do you have that for us?
no, I didn't have, and I wasn't told to put my purpose in my contract either. I wrote it out, I submitted it. And the attorney and the clerk have received my purpose. So the fact that it's not integrated, I think that's also a bit of a red herring objection, if you don't mind my saying so.
Point of order, I'm sorry, what?
It's on
what
the
is-
website.
What is the issue? Public disclosure was made of your offer upon receipt
Mhm.
and provided to council.
She's saying my purpose is supposed to be within my body of my offer.
I didn't say it was supposed to be, I said the others have stated their purpose, yours didn't include it. And I'm going off I have a concern as the comments that you made 2 weeks prior.
When I just found out about
Right, that
the
was-
seemingly underhanded deal.
I can't trust, I don't trust that this is going to come to fruition in what you believe it is, so.
Yes, ma'am, okay, well, I don't trust this process,
And that's been duly noted, and that's something that we hope to take.
but not time to allow me to get a fair shot at this property that I would want.
You've had the opportunity here tonight,
And I've got the highest offer and the highest
because
suggestion.
we're trying to assess what's best for our community.
Well, I'm responding to your negative comments about my
And I
purpose.
appreciate it, I appreciate you being here and being part of this process, I really do.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You make a decision on what we're going to.
So I mean, I think that. I have a problem with how it was brought out, because we've been asking for a list of surplus properties. And it does make it look as if we're just picking and choosing who we're gonna sell to when we wanna sell it, because we don't have that list out in public. So, while if we've given the mayor the ability to do what he does, the list has still not been provided. So it does look shady, it does look like we just picked Mr. Harness to sell it to because he asked about it. Not all offers have this. The reason as to what they want to do probably on either. Yes.
Just like to question quick, the resolution for 253 was in place to allow the mayor to make and accept offers. Mr. Harness made an offer that was immediately brought to city council. Correct, and that was read and discussed, it's been tabled twice. So the resolution. And the precedents for selling other surplus properties, if you look on Act that is the city property.
Right.
It's not private information.
Yeah, but I think the process. That is unclear for us is declaring a surplus property and make it eligible to be sold. From the city. So we have property out there, but not everything is deemed surplus, correct?
Did we not have a list of surplus property given to us about 3 months ago?
This property has not previously been addressed as a surplus property.
And that night, we were declaring it a surplus property to be able to sell to Mr. Harness. That was what the. Resolution is about, right?
The resolution was to allow the mayor to accept an offer. So surplus city property. We will look at that.
So we had to deem it a surplus property. Whether it was in that resolution or another resolution, we would have had to deem it.
I think that's by this definition, resolution. Essentially, well, who is that? Right, surplus property. Now, whether or not anybody does, once again, I think what occurred was Mr. Harness became aware of it because he bought another piece of property. And if you're buying the line, you see the plat and you say City of Harrison, if you're looking at it, hey, I think I'm gonna ask the city about this. And I think that's what occurred, but I wasn't in there, so I don't know. I don't know what the mayor and Mr. Harness had a discussion about. But I think that's how it came about. Is they were looking at, when they bought it, the Walk LLC bought the property. They saw other property owners around that area, and they have seen Mr. Moore's purchase of that property. I don't know. It may have listed that. And so in saying that, I don't know. The only problem would be is nobody else had that plat and had a chance. At that point, when that discussion was held, there was only one offer. Nobody said, hey, before we do this, Mr. Harness, we need to go see if anybody else wants the property. He just made an offer.
So we're gonna now, okay.
So I don't know what we're about to do because we're seem to be.
I mean, I feel like if we do that we would have everyone calling in to say, hey, can we sell this property? Can we sell that property? Is this surplus property? Can we buy that? Can we put an offer in on it?
Well, I don't know if any realtors are out there looking at surplus property for the city and trying to get it.
Well, I'm not saying a realtor, but
Well, anybody.
I mean, Grisham could, or could, or I could, or.
They might if they knew about it. Councilwoman Hoffman asked the mayor 2 weeks ago, was this information available for the public? And he said, no, without hesitation, no. The public could not have found that information. And by the way, I can't find the financial statement on it. So I'll save that for my general comments, but you know, that is. But you had that curiosity then. And now I don't know, now it seems like you're in favor of going with harness bid. Because it's the highest and best use in it. And by the way, I'll reiterate value when Jerry Jackson was sitting up here saying, you know, it's not worth anything. This is more Harrison's getting a good deal. I think if we go back and look at it, he'll say Harrison's the one that's getting a good deal. And in fact, fair market value by definition is whatever a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay. And that's me. So fair market value was not $7,400, was it? And it wasn't investigated properly. I don't believe it was underhanded. That's my opinion, and I don't think I'm the only one who saw that. I think there's council member who's expressed that he thought it's that too, so I don't know how you fix that perception without backing off and going through the process.
It's just in the future, from here on out, what we're trying to figure out, I think the correct way would be like, man, okay, if we have these surplus properties. Let's see and contact everybody that have adjacent property to it to see. Because if I would have known that, I would have put an initial offer in as well.
What if you had put in the initial offer, Mr. Harness, and said, hey, I didn't realize it was for sale. He did this today.
Yes, sir, that's what, like I just stated, that's why we need to figure out something for the future, for future offers, or future.
So everyone has shown their hand here, this is not, you know, you can't start over.
Yeah,
What was that? I didn't understand.
Everyone has shown your offers, everyone has shown their hand now, so, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely understand about the price, but what I make in a year is, I mean, it's irrelevant, but what my shop makes in a year is less than a single business deal that Mr. Harness does on a commercial pit. I'm just trying to, like I said, secure my public parking for me to grow as an entrepreneur. And he has the rest of that building, and on the conversation of him allowing me to park, he did state that he's not sure what he's doing with old chains. He even stated that he may just bulldoze that down and make that even more of a parking. Which in my defense, could argue that that's the same about the same piece of property that 0.1 of an acre. If he gets rid of that, that might facilitate this additional parking, and I can still have that 0.1 of an acre that would facilitate mine, or
Again, let me go
the city
back.
holds on to the piece of property and no one gets it and it remains up.
So here's what we're up against. We have an offer for somebody that thinks their use is more viable.
Yep.
And for the largest amount of money. We have yourself, you've got a small business, and what would be advantageous for us to see in your favor and give you, 6 or 8 more parking spots. The Rock LLC, I call that because it's corporation buying it. It's not Mr. Harness, it's a corporation that's buying it. They've done a lot of good in the area, and they have this business which they think that they can employ people, 6 to 9 more people that are gonna have a place to park as well. And so that benefits, we're putting Pearl Valley in down there, so that benefits the community. Or we could leave it as it is, and the city would have to maintain it, and anybody can park there. So we have a number of options, but we're being asked to do something with the information here, and somebody's gonna leave upset. If they can accept the decision of the council and walk away, and you all get, as they say, let's all just get along, it would be better. But our point here, hold on, Mr. Grisham, our point here is to try and make a decision, and it's very difficult for these 7 individuals tonight because our president, or our mayor pro tem has to not abstain, but he's got to facilitate it. It's very difficult to choose one person's use over another without somebody saying, we need help. So clearly, it's a difficult decision because this council hasn't been able to make a motion. So, Mr. Mayor?
Do we not have the motion?
There's no motion pending.
For the lack of a motion, we will have to pass this agenda items then.
That happens, what does that mean?
Discuss it for later. We got it organized.
We make a motion and we're proceeding on.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept the offer.
Well, we gotta do the resolution.
Okay, get the resolution then.
Have a motion, to accept resolution number 353, do I have a second? Second.
Point of order, Mayor Pro Tem, the resolution requires discussion and completion of some of the blanks on the resolution before consideration by council.
Then you can have that amendment.
That can be part of discussion and then an amended motion placed.
We need to fill in the offer. To consider. Which offer we want to consider?
Yes.
I move for resolution 1353. And the whereas mayor has received an offer of $16,000 from the Rock LLC.
Here we have a motion for this name, this amount, to be filled into this resolution, do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any discussion?
And who seconded that motion? Okay, thank you, Joe.
Okay, at this time, I would like to ask the basis of the motion so that we understand your thought process in doing that. The way thought process for the second, why would you make the motion in that way? If we've been unable as a group to come up with that, what do you think the benefit to the city is? To not put you on the spot.
No, I expect to answer that. My role in this community over the past few years has been heavily under economic development, and that's seeing also the progress of our nation. We have made considerable strides in that. I feel that this offer stays in line with that purpose of economic development. progression of our downtown. I feel like the others, I feel like it can benefit both parties who are adjacent to that. The other would be awesome if we didn't need that type of purpose in this land. I feel like parking is the best purpose there. I hate to say no to a little pocket park because I love green space. I think that's an awesome idea. But I think for our downtown, for our merchants, this serves the best purpose. Growing up with family that have a strong square in Harris or in a mountain home, your customer parking was key and your employees parked in back. You're my dad saying, so that just goes along with how I functioned with small business in the past. When I got economic development purposes in being active in this community, it just falls in line with those.
Any other, I would ask any other council member for any input.
So when going off the last statement that you said, the employees park in the back and the customers park in the front, where would you suggest that Moore's customers park?
Well, he has 3 spots for his front. This would be if you
So if he gets 2 more barbers and the space I think is 5,400 square feet that you can expand to. So if he this, I mean, you're limiting one person from parking.
No, they have the opportunity to come to and then yeah.
Okay, but at the end of the day, Mr. Hunts, if this happens, he has the final say of whatever takes place on that parking lot.
Yes, and there's other merchants who are along the square who are face that same item too, as far as parking. It's not, you're on the square, it's off. No matter where you're going, you've got someone who has potential parking lot. But for this particular, I mean, it's gonna be parking either way, as far as those 2. I think they can come to an agreement on what's gonna work best for everyone. I'm trusting that process between the 2 that are gonna be good neighbors.
That will tend to be culpable.
And that's fine, but I wanna make it clear that like, you're limiting the person that is trying to strive to make a living and really allowing the person that has a bigger pocketbook to rule the decision making here. While he has done great, he will continue to do great in the city. I mean, we're gonna limit Josh from having a parking lot and the ability to expand his business.
So do you believe this $7,500 offer is more valuable than the 16 or the?
I don't feel like the process was done correctly, so I don't feel like either option is.
We can't go back to everyone, like I said, everyone was done anything, so we can't go back to review.
Well, we can't go back now because there's a motion to make it.
I think there's also a call for a vote.
Okay, I'll clarify, the 2 blanks that's being filled is with the offer of $650,000 drawing the Rock LLC, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. No further discussion, all in favor of this, motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Flood.
And I think it's very interesting that we cannot, no one made a motion, when you all voted aye. You all voted for it, why was there so much hesitation to make a motion? We're all gonna say yes.
I can answer that. I haven't made up my mind yet. I voted that way.
So you voted yes, but you
I
haven't made
voted
up your
yes.
mind?
No, I hadn't made up my mind to that instant. And what I'm doing here is based on her comments I asked, and then I'm trying to weigh that out. This is not 100% decision for me. And so
So we're gonna vote a yes and not have it be 100% yes.
Roll call.
Are you ready?
Go, James.
Okay. Larry Phillips,
Yes.
Charlie Pierce,
Yeah.
Reed Petty,
Yes.
Joel Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh Earl,
No.
Gwen Hoffman, Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
and what do I do about Wayne?
He's mayor pro tem, shouldn't vote.
Okay. The motion passes as mayor pro tem. You would be voting if there was a tie and it needed to pass.
Did you get Larry?
Yes.
Yes.
She's first.
So the motion passes.
I'd also like to make a motion, we have the city attorney look at this process and bring it back to city council. Oh, yeah, I thought that was the motion. Okay. My apologies, Mr. Mayor.
I need a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion approved, do I hear a second? Second. All in favor, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like that.
Aye. Okay. Mayor.
What?
I'd like to make a motion.
I'm gonna do roll call.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
roll call again.
Yes. Okay. Charlie Pierce. Reed Petty,
Yes.
Joel Williams,
You change it.
Wait.
this is to approve the resolution.
Yeah.
Josh Earl, Gwen Hoffman, Mitch Magnus,
Yes.
Larry Phillips
Yes.
at 6-1. So
Motion passes.
And,
Now, me.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to have the city attorney work with city administration to develop a process that necessarily has to be based on this one here, that clearly outlines what we're going to do in the future.
Here we have this motion, do we hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and seconds. Are there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes. At this time, do we have any citizens' comments, Mr. Rowland?
you have Joshua Moore on the property sale.
He's passing.
Then
Okay, next.
Kurt Grisham was the other one who was on the sign up sheet, but he's left. He has left.
Okay, council comments.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment. This is a very difficult process and it stresses our community when these things occur. Mr. Moore and the representative, I'm sorry, ma'am, I forgot your name. Tim. I asked you to get together, not on a phone call or anything else, and help us realize we made the right decision and help this man with his business. Okay? I need you to make parking available for him and help him, take your kids there, get their haircuts or whatever. But make sure that we give these people a chance to survive and that we just don't become property owners that hurt you. And I do believe, Mr. Moore, I believe this can happen. I promise you, the council needs to do.
Promises, please.
What's that? I'm sorry you feel that way. We have to come to some resolution of this, and it's either hold this off for another time. Or make the motion and move forward. It's not the best solution. One of my motions was gonna be with the special property in the trees. They want to have a third. The wisdom of Solomon, started to make a motion to leave it as a parking lot and not sell it. Ms. Hoffman had the courage enough to make a motion. I voted to try and get this thing moved on. That doesn't change the fact that now we have to make this work in everybody's favor. So it's incumbent upon him and the company she works for to help you. And you may not believe that. But- Yes, sir.
It just, the initial offer was $7,500.
Mhm.
And the only reason it was $16,000 was out of spite. So if we back it up and both of us have, and we're both on level playing fields and I don't have a pocketbook, it's like he does. And it's, then what do we do?
Well, I don't think that, I'm gonna
Then
tell
what do
you,
we do? Because you just took into consideration his highest bid because he was jacked up by this, by that.
I don't think the money had anything to do with the issue, other than at the end, we get 16 instead of 7,500. That doesn't mean his 16,000 is worth more than your 7,500. We made that decision based on what, according to Ms. Hoffman, that's why I specifically asked her, why did you make that motion? I specifically asked her, and she didn't say because it was 16,000. She made the motion because she thought that was the best use of the property. I can't dispute that. Also, had she made the motion in your favor, Roy can't dispute that either.
It just happened, okay, yes, sir, thank you guys, I hope we get this done in the future.
We're gonna get it done in the
I
future.
hope so.
But I'm telling you, I made a commitment to you that this would be vetted out. You may not be happy with it, but I promise you, I'm gonna help in every way I can to make sure it's done.
Okay.
Any other council on this team?
Yeah, I can say that I'm thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah.
In, our ability to make decisions. I feel like we're very one-sided. Once one person goes with it, they all go with it. I don't feel like no one speaks on behalf of themselves anymore. So,
Mr. O, you made no comment as to whether or not which one of these you would have approved. You didn't make a motion.
I didn't, and I said it clearly a minute ago, I wouldn't have, because I feel like the process is flawed.
Then we should have made a motion to table it. I was worried, I
But
didn't,
she made the motion to vote, and then y'all went with it. So if it were, so I could have made a motion to table after the fact we already voted on it?
no, if you made a motion to table it, I would give that fair consideration.
Okay, but when it was discussed that we were going to table it or move it to the next one, she made the motion to,
It's based on
Yeah.
our option.
so. While I verbally didn't say it, that's the route it was going until she made the route. To make the motion.
Well, then you saw something I didn't. I saw somebody stand up with courage and make a motion. And then I said, okay, now why is she making that motion?
Because it was gonna go on to the next one. I think that's what it was said. Right, Nancy?
I think that the mayor was about to say without a motion, we're going to, that she made it.
Okay, what was gonna be your statement after that?
I think without the motion, we didn't do the business.
Yeah,
So-
he said it passes, which means it dies.
Yeah.
So it could not have been brought up again.
Oh, it certainly can be added to an agenda by
Right.
administration, council, or a request to be added in the future. It could come back, it could have come back.
And I'm not against Mr. Harness. I feel like I have to defend myself every time I speak up or say anything, and it's ridiculous. Because, I mean, it is, you're only seeing, I feel like, one part of the choosing to see one person's side. And when we make decisions.
I see all three of the sides.
But Moore and Harness were both gonna use it as a parking lot. Harness got it because of the economic development that Quinn laid out. But Moore had the same thing in mind. I mean, he's gonna provide jobs, he's gonna do other things, his building has, I mean, there's unknown possibilities that could have happened.
So you don't go through my mind, and I'm sorry for council and you take this offline if you want to adjourn, we can have this discussion.
No, we can't, we're not supposed to talk.
No, you're correct there. So let me say this, I sat here and thought this, okay, if Mr. Harness gets it and he pays it, the parking lot would be better for Mr. Moore. Did you even think of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so now I said, who's more likely to be able to help the other one? Mr. Harness now has a little brother he needs to take care of. I understand Mr. Moore's distrust of the council. Absolutely distrust. I understand it. He feels like he's been betrayed. I'm telling him he hasn't been. There has to be a decision made tonight. The only other decision would be to table it again, and then what do? We get in a big one. Should we, and if we go to this process, what essentially is gonna happen, we're gonna have the same decision here in a month and a half or 2 months. The very same decision.
If we go with that process.
If we go with this process, unless we say it's just highest bidder. If that's then you don't need us anymore to make a decision. The ordinance would be highest bidder gets it. Or we go to a. So I'm hoping that we resolve it to the satisfaction of every single person in here, including this.
2 hours, 15 minutes, people are.
How can we help? Maybe Justin Harnett says, I'm interested in your vehicle. Let's put it in here. I don't know what's gonna happen. Now I have to give hope that Mr. Harness and Tim are good neighbors. And how about Mr. Green?
And that's what we can hope for. And yes, it crossed my mind that I'm sure that Harness is gonna be a great neighbor. I have no doubt about it. He's a good person, so I've heard. But that doesn't excuse the fact that what we made a decision based on, so.
Understood.
Moving on to the mayor's comments, there is any tonight other than that he in Little Rock, working for the city of Harrison at the Martin Luther King deal. And at this time, I'll ask for a.
Wait.
One moment, please. We have a point of correction for council's information. Clerk is going to show council where you can find the documents that were referenced tonight that weren't available. It's a shame Mr. Grisham isn't here to see it, but
This is harrisonar.gov. Go to Explore Documents. There's everything that there's, but the city council proceedings and archives. This is the archives, of course, are from up to 2026. Council proceedings for 2026, August 27. The financial statement that had been referenced, and Mr. Grisham said he could not find.
it's loading because it's more than 40 pages just for reference.
Yes, there is the cover sheet that you had, and then the rest of the budget.
That's
Then
under council proceedings folder, not under the preview, and it's preloaded with all official documents, including department head reports.
And then we have the Rock Holdings offer, Mr. Grisham's offer, and Mr. Moore's offer are all on the website for your perusal at your leisure.
Thank you. That it, James?
That is all.
Okay, Reed? Motion to adjourn.
Let's go to the house. Everybody have a great evening.